My name is Dr. Olabisi Akinpelu. I'm a global client relations and retention expert with over 15 years relevant experience across industry verticals. So I think my corporate journey started with me working very closely with my dad. I think I was his unofficial PA for the early start of at the start of my career, at the start of my journey, and I think that kind of paved the way or laid the foundation for whatever it is I do today. I know that as far back as when I was in secondary school, I was already attending shareholders meeting, annual general meetings of top corporations at the time, and I was attending that by proxy on behalf of my dad, who was a shareholder in a lot of multinationals. So that was where my corporate journey started from, unofficially. So I already got conversant with the workings of the corporate space. And then from there, moving from working very closely with my dad and learning the ropes at a very tender age, I went to school, I graduated, I did all of the academics, and then upon coming out, I think my first job, official job, started with Access Bank. And if you know Access Bank very well, we call ourselves the Access Warriors. You know that you have to go through rigorous trainings, which I took, and that has practically shaped, like it helped also in shaping my entire career trajectory, to the point where now I do not know what else to be other than to be a core professional. So from the banking industry, after about 4 years or 5 years, I kind of figured that it was too restrictive for the kind of paths I wanted to tread. So I left the banking industry and pivoted into the IT space. Unfortunately, the knowledge and the experience from the banking industry was not easily transferable into the IT space. So I had to start from scratch for me to have a table, for me to have a seat at the corporate table within that industry. So I started practically from scratch. I moved into the IT space, started from scratch, had mentors within the space that kind of held me, but I'm a fast learner. I learned very fast, and within 1 year, I was already making my mark in that space. So that's how I moved from the banking industry into the IT space, and then I started getting poached by other IT business owners. And I'm currently with an organization now, a manufacturer of interactive flat screen panel, although it's a group of companies, but I think they are known more for the interactive flat screen panel aspect of their business. I know that talking about this may seem like it's been easy. Just moved from working closely with my dad and then jumping into the banking industry, and then no, it did not come that easy. But I will speak more about my challenges from the IT space, and that's because when I was in the bank, because the bank, the financial institution is very large, very big. So your challenges, you may not have control over them, so to speak. So let me speak from the perspective of the IT industry. One of the critical, or one of the biggest challenge I've ever had, I think, let me categorize it. There's the challenge with the customers. There's the challenge with colleagues, which is counterparts on the corporate ladder. Then there's challenge with the employers. That's the founders and owners of this organization where I've had to pass through. So I would just say one thing each for each one of them. For the customers is the fact that they are not used to good customer service. They are not used to having excellent customer experience. So when you try to give it to them, they find it suspicious. I would close out that aspect by saying there's a customer that complained about a product, and my immediate and instant reaction to that was, let it be replaced. That product cost over 5.5 million, and I asked that it be replaced immediately. And guess what? The customer sent a very lengthy email with their legal department stating that for us to willingly want to replace that device immediately without carrying out any form of test, it means we know that what we had supplied originally was a faulty device. And that took me by shock, because I thought I was trying to satisfy them. So you can see that type of challenge. So that's one. On the employers, or let me speak on the counterpart side, your drive, or rather my drive, my passion, my zeal to wanting to ensure client retention and satisfaction is oftentimes mistaken by my counterparts in the industry as doing too much. or tilting towards the customer rather than the business, or sometimes even making them look bad because they are perhaps not matching up to that level of commitment and passion, and then it seems like you're putting the rest of us in a bad light. So that's the challenge with calling. Although over the years I've been learning to navigate around that. In terms of the various employers, I think the biggest challenge for me would be the fact that a lot of them, people in my profession, we have to practically explain to them. We have to teach them that client experience, client retention has gone beyond what it used to be, which is before. You just have a pretty face behind the desk. They call it customer service. A pretty face behind the desk. You come in the morning, hello. They really do not know what the organization is about. They don't know what it represents. They are just there to, just smile at people, or people that you have behind the phone, where when you call, somebody is just a nice voice, could be a male or a female, is answering. But that is not client experience. It has evolved beyond that. In fact, it was never that, but everybody assumed it was that. So right now, we struggle to make these business owners, these business leaders, to understand that you need to invest heavily in client retention. You need to invest heavily in client experience. And people like us that have chosen a career path in that, it's more like is a battle. It's their vision. You're running with their vision. So now, how do you merge this your vision for client experience? How do you merge it with the overall corporate goal without deviating from what the company's primary vision is, which oftentimes is around generating revenue? So I think that's been the biggest challenge with the employers, making them see that pay as much attention to client retention, client experience, the same way you're paying attention to wanting to collect money from these customers. So that's been the biggest challenge with us. I have a very quiet personality, quiet personality in the industry. Although I'm very vocal, but when it comes to the industry where I play, I'm behind the scene. I'm actually very quiet. I'm behind the scene. However, there's a lot of work that has been done. I think I would say I'm arguably one of the pioneers. And advocates of interactive flat screen panel in classrooms. I practically opened about 80% of the interactive flat screen panel business on the education side in Lagos. The top schools in Lagos currently use that solution, and I drove that personally from scratch. However, under the employment of an organization that manufactures that. So I think that's one of the major wins. From the top of my head, I can call top corporates, top schools that use that solution, and they can speak to the fact that they've enjoyed excellent service through the life cycle of their journey with the organization where I achieved all of that. So I think that's what I would call one of my wins. My leadership part at the moment, it has more to do with trainings. Now, I'm not even talking about training other organizations. I have a lot of employees that have passed through my mentorship within the organization where I currently work. I've trained them aggressively. I've passed on the baton. I've impacted. You really cannot pass on passion. You either have passion or you don't have it. But I've passed on a lot of skills, professionalism, empathy, the core values of any organization. I've passed it on to a lot of them, and it reflects in the way they carry out their activities. Are they 100% there yet? No, but you can already see that they are getting there. I think the next step for me is moving away from the challenges, moving away from the battles that I've had to, fight in achieving the things that I've achieved over the years, and now focusing on building framework for excellent service delivery, building framework for excellent customer experience across industry vertical, and selling that as a service, making Nigerians see that it is possible to actually get excellent service for the product or the service that you've paid for. Advocating that business owners do right and do well by the customers that has paid them, and by the customers that is even the reason why they remain in business till today. So I think that's what is next for me. And in achieving that, definitely, I would need to create a platform for myself for that, so that I can run it end to end by the core values that I believe in, and then by the core values that represent what I want to achieve based on industry standard. my general advice to anybody embarking on the corporate journey, doesn't have to, regardless of what path you're treading, regardless of what industry, regardless of what career path, my general advice would be passionate about what it is you want to go into. Be passionate. And I say this from my real life experience, my real time experience. That's because the journey will get tough. Sometimes even the people that are paying you for that service, or even the employers, may not believe in the services you're rendering. But what would keep you going in those moments is the passion and the love for what you're doing. So just go to the table with your passion, and at the end of the day, I think the passion will tilt you towards where you should really be, or where you would be accepted. Because I know that because of my passion, I've met with a lot of people that have shown interest in, wanting to do things with me. It would shine through. So that's just my general counsel. Yeah, thank you for listening. I look forward to meeting a lot of you on the corporate ladder, on this journey in the industry.